I wish I'd done the course earlier, but I did hesitate joining. I think I pretty much worried about everything. Hi everyone, I'm Paul. I'm in my early 40s. I live in the north of England. I'm a PhD student. A little bit about my dating life. I didn't really have a dating life before Academy. I've had 3 relationships, so I couldn't really implement any of it on my own.
How come you chose to work with, I'm very flattered by this, but how come you chose to work with me and my team?
A lot of other stuff on YouTube feels a bit pressured, and you've got to say these particular lines in this particular way. I think, particularly as men, we sort of get it drilled into us. Yeah, I've got to work out the magic formula. Whereas all of your material on YouTube and book and webinar I went to sort of explores much more sort of like strengths we all have and how we can make that work. So I got the vibe that the Academy might be very tailored. It did turn out like that.
It's like, actually, you're not good enough and you have to fit this one quite rigid mold of what a guy is in order to be successful with women. And I think that rigid structure, whilst it sounds nice on paper, I think in reality it puts a lot of pressure on guys. Before joining the course, or anything that you were worried about?
I wish I'd done the course earlier, but I did hesitate joining. I think I pretty much worried about everything. The biggest ones was, am I behind other people that are going to be on the course? The same thing with Attraction Point. When I did that, I kind of put that off, even though it was an online course. But for face-to-face and online Academy program, it's even more daunting. I have anxiety, so the approaching the live weekend thing, I think, was sort of particular worry, but it was all designed really well. It was a challenge, but I'm really glad I did it.
I think myself and also with the coaching team, we accept that this is a massive jump outside of most people's comfort zones to start learning to approach somebody else in real life. And our job is to be like a flight attendant, in that we try to the best of our abilities to make the experience, the flight, fun, and for you to help you to feel safe and secure, and to make it a good experience for you. Can you tell people a little bit about some of the topics that you learned about on the course, or things that you studied or covered?
So it's a very, very varied program, but for me, we dealt with all sorts of things to do with beliefs. So the first week we were sort of doing mantras. So there was a week on fashion. So there was a webinar on fashion that was really, really useful. I think a lot of guys find it really daunting, sort of like what accessories to do, the whole smart casual thing. That was really useful for a lot of the guys. The thing that was most useful for me was the sort of female perspective yourself and one of the other female coaches. So we had a couple of weeks of Academy that was specifically around communicating with women, what women want. They were very, very useful. But on the live weekend, we even had a live date, which mock live date, which was very useful. That was particularly a worry for me because I've only been on 3 dates in my life. I've had 3 relationships, but none of them came from dating. They sort of came from the friend zone. So but it's very, very tailored. So for me, I don't have so many problems with conversation once it's got going. 20-30 seconds is that initial conversation with a woman. This was covered extensively in different weeks. All this stuff was just really supplemented by the WhatsApp group. So you've got several dating coaches, several guys. Instead of doing it on your own, you've got the perspective of 10 or 15 different people.
That's really why we did 24/7 WhatsApp coaching on Academy. It's to create all of these feedback loops so that every single day dating can become this point of focus. Can I ask what you found most challenging about Academy?
The live weekend was definitely the most challenging bit, so particularly the Friday night. So it was travel and then immediately getting into the stuff. But in some ways, that was also the most fun and rewarding bit.
Because you're immersed suddenly in this totally different world of, wow, I'm actually going out there and I'm approaching women. And as I said, our job as coaches is to try and do those hard yards, but to make them as smooth or supported for you as possible, for you to then start to really gain momentum and this like volume of experience.
And I've got a lot more likes and matches on online dating since then. But I mean, from my perspective as well, I don't live in London, so it was quite daunting, but also very fun going around central London. But you and the team had everything planned out, got a lot of support off the other guys on the live weekend as well. Not all of them lived in London, but some of them did.
Was there anything that surprised you about Academy?
Just how wide ranging it was, and just the amount of progress, particularly on the live weekend, that I felt that we made. So I felt I made a lot of progress very quickly, but also I could see it in other people. I think quite a few of us were terrified about the approaches. I think the thing that surprised me the most about the live weekend was I'm a lot better than I thought in kind of bar settings, indoor settings, even if they're very noisy. Um, that's just me, someone who's more introverted and got anxiety. So I wouldn't necessarily have thought I'd be find bar indoor settings a bit easier.
What has Completely Academy enabled you to achieve or change?
Just better confidence. So a lot of the perspectives were around abundance and standards, but it's sort of fundamentally transformed that. Yeah, there's less self doubt. I think a lot of us, when we're face to face approaching or messaging, we kind of constantly have this inner dialogue. We've messed things up, whereas academies kind of got rid of a lot of that.
What would you tell another guy who's considering or is on the fence about joining?
I think just do it. Have a really serious think about doing it. A lot of the time, I think we more or less know not what to do, but not how to do it. Academy deals with the how to do it.
It's like a superpower, and every time we do live trainings, whether it's with men or women, for me, you can't beat the thrill, and also like the wow, this is going to be different from here on out from doing these trainings with people. Last question. If you had to describe your experience of Academy in one word, what would it be?
Belief in myself.